Hey guys, welcome back to Classic City Talks with Classic City Locks. I'm Mike.
I'm Wes.
And here we are, Week 12, college football picks, top 25 against the spread. Last week, we didn't have a video because we were both under the weather.
Yeah.
But we're happy to be back in the studio and ready to get y'all some more picks. So Wes is going to recap what's gone on since we last saw y'all.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, we had our first guest on the show. Props to Brendan. He went 5 out of 10. 50% and beat both of us.
Yeah.
And that's the new record to beat, 5 out of 10 for any guests that come on the show after him. But Mike and I, head-to-head, Mike went 8-13 that week, and I went 9-12, so I edged out a victory by 1 to make the standings 5-3 with one tie in favor of Mike. And the week after that, Mike went 13-8. And I went 14-7. So I beat him again by 1.
Barely.
To make it 5-4 with one tie on the season. So it's anybody's ball game headed in with 3 weeks left.
A strong showing for Wes. I mean, I hung in there, but he's eking it out in the end.
I think it was 5-1 at one point. I think
it was 5-1-1.
Mike might blow a 4-point lead. But so that puts us, Mike is 1 game above 500 on the season at 94-93. And I am 5 games below 500, which is a huge step up for me in terms of my percentage at 91-96. But that's all we got for the wrap up. And now we can get into the action for this week.
All right, jumping straight into it. Our first game we got SMU at Tulane. Tulane ranked 21 here, favored by 3.5. I think this is a very fun matchup.
Yeah.
When you look at this, the gut reaction might be to take Tulane, but first thing, they got the kiss of death there, that 3.5-point line.
Yep.
And just from my research, what I came to the conclusion was SMU scoring more, they get more yards per game. Tulane's defense is a lot better, but SMU has won 7 straight in this series. And their quarterback, Tanner Mordecai, he's one of the best in the country. He's got 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, so he's balling. I don't like that 3.5-point hook, and I think that SMU could just win this outright. So I'm going to take the Mustangs here to cover.
Yeah, well, not much excitement on the first pick because I'm also taking the Mustangs in this one. Just a notable thing that I want to point out, they put up 77 points against Houston a couple weeks ago.
They won it.
Yeah, I mean, they're lost to Cincinnati, UCF, and TCU this year. So all pretty respectable teams. Tulane struggled. They lost last week, and I don't know. I'm going to ride the high of that loss to pick SMU this week. I'll take the Mustangs as well.
SMU's record does not reflect how they've been playing.
Yeah.
They've been playing good football, so.
And this is a Thursday night game, so it probably will have aired before this, or probably will have happened before this video is aired, but we'll see.
Yeah, all right. Who do we got next?
Next up, Navy going in to take on UCF. UCF coming off that win against Tulane. Gus Malzahn doing good work. Got to mention his name. I love UCF. Oh, but 16.5. That's a tricky line. We just saw a great performance from Navy last week against Notre Dame. And, man, I don't see why Navy couldn't do the same thing against UCF this week. I mean, I think Notre Dame's defense is better than they're just the Knights now, you told me. They're not the Golden Knights.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they scratched that.
So I'm going to ride with the Service Academy in this one. I'll take Navy.
I'm torn. This is one of the picks that I have UCF penciled in here, but I really have not made up my mind. So a couple stats that I just want to put out in the air. UCF is hot right now. Mm-hmm. They're 3-0 against the spread the past 3 weeks. They have a better overall offense, but their red zone efficiency is what concerns me. And the defenses of both these teams are a mixed bag. My gut reaction is to lean UCF. I know that's a big line, but UCF has a very good defense against the run. And we know Navy, that's all they're going to do.
Yeah.
Navy runs that option, so they're just going to be running the football the whole time. And Navy has a bad secondary. So I'm going to take UCF here. I know it's a big line, but I think that this is just a good spot for them playing at home. I think they can get it done here in a big win against them.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of questioning my pick because I remember the Navy quarterback went down with an ankle injury.
He's banged up right now.
And I don't know if he's going to start, so I guess pay attention to that. But I'll stick with the Service Academy. to win or to cover by.
It's a big line.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna ride the momentum and stick with the Knights.
We'll see how Gus Malzahn fares against the option this week.
Yeah. All right. Up next, we have Illinois. Illinois going to play number 3 Michigan. Michigan favored by 17.5 here. So another, it's a decent matchup. We thought it would be better, but Illinois has really struggled down the stretch here. Initially, I wanted to take Illinois, but there's a couple things that have turned me away from that. Their running back is looking like he's going to play, but he's banged up. He got hurt last game, and it's kind of questionable if he'll be 100%. And historically, Illinois does not play well in the Big House.
No.
This is going to be a cold game, in the upper 20s, with winds around 20 miles an hour. So it's going to be brutal. I'm a big weather guy when it comes to this stuff. It's going to be brutal, and I think it's going to come down to how physical Michigan is down the stretch. We've seen that Illinois' defense was good early on, but they can get worn out, and I think that's what's going to happen here. I think Michigan's going to punish them offensively and wear them out, use the home crowd against them, against an Illinois team that has really spiraled. So I think that Michigan could really run away with this game here leading up to that matchup against Ohio State. So I'm going to take the Wolverines.
Well, I'm going to differ from you here. I'm going to go with the Fighting Illini in this one. 17.5, I think, is just a little bit too high for my liking. Michigan coming off a win against Nebraska, won by 31. But this game, to me, is going to resemble, hopefully, the Michigan State game against Michigan, where the final score was 29-7, and they would not have covered 17.5.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I love Michigan. I think they're a great football team, but J.J. McCarthy just looked a little slow to me against Nebraska. That score doesn't really tell the truth of that game, in my opinion. I don't know. I think that this is a great spot for Illinois. Everybody's talking about how horrible the Big Ten West is, and I agree with them based on the record. But I don't know. I think Michigan, maybe they're looking ahead against Ohio State and they slip up a little bit. I don't think they lose this game. But I'm going to
closer.
I think it'll be a little closer than people give it credit for.
All right. I'm very confident in this one. I'm taking Michigan. Blake Corum breakout game.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll move on to Austin Peay at Alabama.
Not much to say about this one.
Yeah, the spread in this one is 40.5. I'm just going to take Alabama. Alabama's been horrible against the spread this year, but it's Austin Peay. So Alabama not really playing for much these days, but I don't know. They'll make a New Year's Six bowl, but
I think they're just gonna, take out some anger on them. But I'll take Alabama. I mean, not a lot of books are even really offering lines on this game.
That's what I've seen.
I mean, I wouldn't really.
Unfortunate.
Wouldn't really do much with it. We honestly shouldn't even have included this, but we got to. We do the 20.
It's on our list.
We'll
move on to Louisiana at Florida State. Florida State is favored by 23.5 in this one. Getting to play at home. I'm going to ride with them. I think they've gotten hot at just the right time lately. I've liked them for a good bit this season. You've kind of been hating on me for that a little bit, but I think they win this game by 24. Louisiana, I'm no expert on, but you hear that a lot on this show, but I'll ride with Florida State unless you convince me otherwise.
No, I'm riding with Florida State here. The last 3 games against ACC opponents, they've won by an average of 34.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in a great spot. They're hot at home, and they're not going to slow down against Louisiana. So give me the Noles here.
Okay.
Up next, probably one of the best matchups of the week. TCU at number 4 playing Baylor. TCU only favored by 3.5 here. So, this isn't the same story we've seen the past 5-6 weeks. TCU keeps winning, but the lines makers do not like them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that it's disrespectful that people keep getting down on them. This is a Baylor team that got whooped last week.
Yeah, I did.
And I know that TCU's been playing a lot on the road, a lot of emotional, very physical wins, but I'm not going to stop, supporting them now. They've covered their last 4 games, I think. I know that a lot of them have been closer than we would like, but they beat Texas on the road by 10. I don't see why they can't beat a Baylor team that's underperformed by at least 4 points. So I'm going to take the Horned Frogs here. I don't think they're going to slow down. They want to make the playoffs, and they control their own destiny.
Yeah, that is true. I agree with you completely. I'm I'm going to take TCU. The thing that concerns me is that like 80% of the public is betting on TCU on this one to win by. The spread actually went down to 2.5 on most books, so we're getting it at 3.5, which hurts us. Picking TCU, but man, I think they just win by more than 3. I think I agree with you. I think they're getting too much disrespect for being the 4th ranked team in the country.
Yeah.
They keep on getting disrespected, and they keep on proving everybody wrong. And Baylor is not the team that they're not the team I think to do it, to finally break that spell. So I'm going to stick with TCU. Horned Frogs.
Yeah.
Keep on doing whatever Horned Frogs do. And we'll move on to Kansas State then. Going in to play West Virginia at West Virginia. West Virginia is getting 7.5 points in this one, so Kansas State's got to win by 8 to cover here. And I'm going to ride with West Virginia. This is a kind of a bad line in my opinion. I don't really like 7.5 at all normally. So if it was 6.5, then I would probably be leaning. I would probably take Kansas State. This is another team that's proved that they're capable of just flat out dominating opponents. But West Virginia, playing at West Virginia, is very different in my opinion. I mean, we saw Tennessee go in there, have to win in overtime. We saw Pitt earlier in the season, and they covered, I think, by 7, not 7.5. So, yeah, I don't know. I think West Virginia's coach is also fighting for his job, so a win against Kansas State, or just keeping it close, could go a long way for him. I'll roll with JT Daniels and the Mountaineers.
Yeah, there's a couple interesting things about this game. Adrian Martinez is not playing.
Oh, okay.
He's hurt. The thing, though, is like Kansas State's backup quarterback might just win the starting job.
Yeah.
He's good. Similar situation with West Virginia. Their backup has been playing and looks pretty good. So this is the other. I had 2 games coming in today that I couldn't fully make up my mind on. UCF and Navy. I disagreed with Wes on the UCF game. I'm going to take West Virginia here because I think that home environment is going to be the difference maker here.
Yeah.
7.5, again, just a brutal line. If you want to take Kansas State, that's really what scared me away. And I think that this is just going to be a shootout of a game. I mean, we know that West Virginia can move the ball. They can score. Kansas State can do the same. But I think that home crowd is going to impact this game as well in like another cold, kind of gritty conference matchup.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the Mountaineers here as well.
Big 12 teams are so good this season, but they always end up just beating each other at the end of the season. So I think that might be the case here. So
yeah. Up next, a fun game. We have Oregon State going in to play Arizona State. The Beavers here favored by 7.5. Now, I know we just talked about that line, but I'm going to take Oregon State here.
Me too.
Yeah, they funny enough, they have not won at Arizona State since 2009, though.
Really?
But Oregon State is just the more complete team here. Who's your favorite guy?
Emory Jones.
Emory Jones.
He's on Arizona State,
Yeah.
though.
Arizona State, yeah, that's who they're playing.
Yeah, I know. That's bad for Oregon State.
I know.
My guy.
I don't think that he's the guy to continue the streak here.
Well, you don't think he's the guy?
No.
He's the guy.
Oregon State's better on defense. They're more complete. Their offense is putting up like 5 more points than them a game, and I don't think Arizona State really has anything left in the tank. So I'm going to take the Beavers here.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of been fans of Oregon State all season. They're kind of, they had a couple great matchups that we picked them to cover against. And I don't really see any reason to change that up now. So I love Emory Jones. I don't know why, but I do. And I like Arizona State. They've done a lot better now since they fired their head coach. But 7.5 is doable to me. Very weird timing on
It's
this one.
early.
2:15, but local time, that's
It's
like 11.
Yeah, very weird.
So expect a sleepy game in that one, in my opinion. But
I think that late in the game you'll see Oregon State go up by 10 to 14.
Yeah.
That's all she wrote.
Next up, we got Boston College at Notre Dame, number 18 in this poll. And Notre Dame is favored by 21.5, which is too much for me. I'm going to ride with the Catholics, Boston College. That game against Navy last week is kind of fresh in my mind for Notre Dame. I mean, they just really let them back into that thing. I think Notre Dame's defense is pretty solid in my opinion, but their quarterback kind of made some mental mistakes, I thought. that kind of let Navy get a foothold again in that game. Boston College, nothing to write home about there, but I think that this one, another game where a team could be looking ahead. Notre Dame going to play USC next week. Somebody
They have a big
tough
game
schedule.
soon. Yeah.
So I'm gonna ride with the Eagles on this one and go with Boston College.
I'm gonna differ from you here. I'm gonna take the Fighting Irish here in the crosstown Catholic rivalry.
Oh yeah, I
cross-country.
didn't even think about that.
Yeah, they're both Catholics.
I can't say that. Gonna take the Catholics.
I know it's a big line, but I think Notre Dame has come into their own. Yes, I think the box score from last week against Navy doesn't really reflect. Yes, Navy covered against them last week, but Notre Dame had control of the game, I feel like, for a lot of it.
Not at the end there.
I think they did. I mean, yes, they did.
It was like an 8-point game.
When
wasn't
Navy got the 2-point conversion, there was nothing else they could do. Like Notre Dame was going to win the whole time.
Yeah, they were.
Boston College is terrible. I know that they upset NC State last week, which is kind of insane, but I just think that that's another program that's reeling right now. So Notre Dame is in opposite position. I think that they're heating up, and I think that they're ready to get a big win. This is at home too, so I'm going to take the Fighting Irish here.
2 games already, maybe 3 games already this season.
They were a completely different team there, though. So I'm
We'll
going to take
see.
the Irish.
We'll see. We like it.
Yeah. Up next, number 1, Georgia, going on the road to play Kentucky. Georgia favored by 22.5 here. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I'm going to take Georgia here. I know it's a big line, but Kentucky has completely fallen apart. They lost to Vanderbilt last week, and Will Levis is looking more and more like a Spencer Rattler every day to me. I mean, just an abysmal performance against Vanderbilt. This is a Kentucky team that at the beginning of the year we thought could maybe make some noise in the East. And I'm just not impressed. I think UGA is going to go up there and take care of business. I don't really think it'll be close.
Yeah, I'm very inclined to agree with you. I have Georgia penciled in. And they went and took care of business at Mississippi State last week and would have covered this against a arguably better football team out
Mississippi
there.
State is better than Kentucky, I think.
But I don't know. All of a sudden, me and the Georgia spread. I'm never right on it. So something's telling me that I should switch here. And I don't know. Maybe Georgia has a little trouble and fumbles a snap or two, and Kentucky comes back late. I'm going to go with Kentucky actually to get a backdoor cover in this one. I think that Georgia will end up winning by 21, maybe 22, but 23.
It's a lot.
Gives me a little bit of hope. So I'm going to go with the Wildcats in that one.
Alrighty, who we got next?
Up next, we have Miami, my disappointing team of the year, going in to play Clemson, number 9 in this poll. Clemson's favored by 19.5. And man, I was going to take Miami, but I can't. They're going to let me down again this week by covering when I pick against them. But Clemson coming off some struggles. They're riding the struggle bus right now for sure. Losing to Notre Dame and then I would say struggling against Louisville. I mean, this is supposed to be the top 10 team in the country, and they
took them a while to get
Louisville
started.
at home by like 14, right? Was the final.
Yeah, let me check on that.
So Clemson's got a lot to figure out. But Miami has a lot more to figure out. I mean, they're playing. I think they're playing a little bit better than they started now. But man, they got a lot to work with, or a lot to work on. So I'm going to go with the Tigers.
Yeah, the Clemson 131-16. But I mean, Louisville hung around for a bit longer than we thought they would. So I'm also going to stick with Clemson here though, because Miami is just an abysmal program. I mean, we watched them get killed by Florida State, 45-3. Duke beat them 45-21. There's not really anything here to make me think that Clemson, while they have struggled recently, can't win by three scores.
Yeah, I agree.
So give me the Tigers here. Up next, number 2, Ohio State going on the road to play Maryland. Not a ton I want to say here. I know that's a big line, but I'm going to stick with Ohio State here. Maryland has not really looked the same since Tagovailoa injured his knee. I know he's back, but they've really looked different. And I think that Ohio State has just got a great offense, and Maryland just doesn't really have much to keep up with them. So I see another blowout win for them.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I think Ohio State's a safe pick here. Maryland, whoever Ohio State plays from the Big Ten, if it's not one of the marquee matchups, they've just been throttling them.
Yeah.
I mean, they had the fluke game against Northwestern because of the weather. But other than that, I'm taking number 2 team in the country, Ohio State.
And C.J. Stroud's got to keep the Heisman campaign going.
Yeah, exactly.
He wants to pad the stats. So.
Well, we'll move on to Penn State going into Rutgers, another Big Ten matchup. Penn State favored by 20.5 on our lines, so it's a little different than what the books are saying. But I am actually surprised that this one's going in Rutgers' favor on the sports betting. So I'm going to go with Penn State, the Nittany Lions. I could easily see them win this game by 21.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of, they started off very hot, then they cooled off in the middle, and then they're kind of heating back up again.
They are.
So I like them in this environment. I'm going to take them 21.
Dang it. I thought you were going to take Rutgers there because it's a big line, but Penn State's playing great football right now. I mean,
I agree.
Statistically, and just you look at how they're playing, yeah, they had tough losses to better teams in the Big Ten, but against these bottom feeder opponents in the Big Ten, they're killing them.
Yeah.
Rutgers can't score. They're one of the worst offenses in the country. Penn State has a great offense. So,
Yeah.
I mean, this is I don't need to say anything else. They're winning, and I don't think it'll even be close.
No. And who was it we saw Ohio State just, was it Indiana last
Yeah.
week? I mean, Indiana just could not get anything going. I mean, so scoring-wise, I think Rutgers will, Rutgers will struggle even more against Penn State.
Yeah.
I don't know what comparison I was going for there, but we'll move on.
Yeah. All right. Up next, we have number 22, Cincinnati, going to play Temple. Cincy's favored by 17.5 here. I'm taking Temple. Cincy has failed to cover in their last 6 games. Temple is not good, but they have covered in the last 4 out of their 5 last games. And you just look at Cincy's scores, and they win games, but all of them are close. And Temple is like, yes, they're not good, but they're trending upward in terms of just raw stats, how they're playing, scoring. And I just think that that's a big line. I see Cincy winning, but not by over 17.5.
Man, that's disappointing because I also have Temple penciled in. I thought I was going to trick you on that one. Cincinnati just a little disappointing this year, in my opinion. And I'm not going to add too much more to what you just said. Although you picking them makes me really want to switch to Cincinnati, but I'm staying with my gut here, sticking with Temple. But another fun one, which I can't wait to see your reaction. Moving on to Georgia Tech at UNC. North Carolina's favored by 21.5, and I'm going to roll with my Yellow Jackets, as I always do. 21.5, not the best line. I would have preferred 20.5. UNC can score in bunches, but they cannot stop in bunches. Georgia Tech, I think they're going with their backup quarterback these days. Who knows what's going on in Atlanta, but I think I've done pretty well this season. I feel pretty good picking the Yellow Jackets. I'm going to take them. UNC's kind of coming off some lackluster performances lately, so give me the Yellow Jackets.
I would have preferred 20.5, but I'm still taking UNC here. Yes, they have comparable defenses. Both of them suck. But give me that home field crowd, to help, maybe make Georgia Tech make some mistakes when they got the ball on the field. And Georgia Tech's just not covering. They're like 1-4 recently covering the spread. UNC's offense is legendary. Drake May, talk about someone who could pad their stats here for the Heisman run. Give me UNC to just absolutely stomp Tech here. So, UNC.
I'm going to compare them really quickly. UNC in their last 4 games beat Wake Forest by 2. They beat Virginia by 3. They beat Pitt by 18, not 22. And they beat Duke by 3. And Miami by 3. They're just not getting it done, in my opinion. You go back to last time that they have won by 22 or more, and it was against Virginia Tech, and it was 31. So they beat Georgia State by 7. I'm even more confident in this pick.
I might have to switch.
I'm going with the Yellow Jackets.
Are you really going to make me do this?
Go ahead, your funeral.
All right, I'll switch to Tech. I mean, with that, my biggest reservation coming into this was the fact that it's 21.5, not 20.5, and you saying that. I mean, if they can't cover it against Miami,
that's what I'm saying.
All right, I'll let Wes convince me here. I'm going to take Georgia Tech here.
They have not been winning, but they've been playing people relatively close. I mean, Florida State covered this against them, but you know, they didn't get covered by that, and against Miami, against Virginia Tech, against
Miami
Duke,
almost covered it.
no, barely.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna regret this.
I'm
but-
remembering this Pitt victory that they had. UCF only beat them by 17. I think UCF is. Well,
think-
no, they're not better than UNC.
They
I
are
did
not
know
better
that.
than UNC.
But I'm still riding with
All
it.
right, here's what's going to happen. I think that the best case scenario for this is UNC is going to win by 21. The hook is going to be there.
Yeah.
All right, I'll ride with the Yellow Jackets here. All right, up next, not much for me to say here. Number 5, Tennessee playing South Carolina on the road. Tennessee favored by 21.5 here. Give me the Volunteers. I mean, we saw them just launch all just short of a nuclear strike on Missouri last week. I mean, they are a good team outside of losing to Georgia. They are not bad, and they have shown us that they'll run up the score on anybody. So I think it's like a comparable to an Ohio State situation here.
Yeah.
So give me the Volunteers here to cover.
Yeah, man, I look for any way to pick South Carolina in this, and there probably are a few. I'm angry at this game, actually, because they get the night slot, Tennessee, South Carolina, over... oh, no, I'm sorry. I misspoke. They're getting a night slot this week, but it's not the same game that I was thinking of. South Carolina has just been too inconsistent for me. I mean, they go from, like, throttling a Texas A&M team to losing to...
Missouri.
Yeah, so... I'm gonna go with Tennessee in this one just because they're trying to pad their resume as much as possible, win by as much as possible. Hendon Hooker also trying to win the Heisman.
Exactly.
21.5, just not enough for me to switch to the Gamecocks in that one. But the Cowboys of Oklahoma State, number 24, going in to play Oklahoma. The Sooners, disappointing season. Sooners are favored by 7.5 in this one, despite Oklahoma State being ranked the higher team. I'm going to go with the Cowboys in this one. I could see them upsetting Oklahoma in this game.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you could call it an upset, but it's it's a big rivalry game for them, and Oklahoma has just been nothing to write home about this year. So
They lost last week
Yeah.
to West Virginia.
yeah, disappointed in them.
I don't understand why they're favored by 7.5 here. I think it should, if they're going to favor them, it should be like 6.5 or maybe even like 3.5.
Yeah, Vegas is confusing me on this one, and the line has stayed pretty much.
It
there.
hasn't moved. I'm taking the Cowboys here as well. I think that they can just win this outright.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a rivalry matchup. Spencer Sanders has been shaky recently. Not really what we like to see as much. But this is just an Oklahoma team that's just bad.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma State's not great, but they're the better team here. So if you're going to give me 7.5 points in a rivalry matchup, I'm going to take the Cowboys here.
Yeah, I like it.
Up next, number 14, Ole Miss going to take on Arkansas. Ole Miss is favored by 3.5 here. Another tough line, but man, we saw Ole Miss lose to Alabama
Yep.
by 6
Yeah.
at home, and that I think that Ole Miss could have won that game. I think it was horrible play calling there at the end.
Yeah.
What were they doing after their running back put the team on his back and carried them all the way to the red zone
And then-
at the end of that game, and they called quarterback draw 4 plays in a row and turned it over on downs?
Well, I don't think some of them were called, but there were too many called. I think Jackson Dart just tried to scramble on 2 of them.
I think that Arkansas is not a great team. I think Ole Miss is okay. I think they're good, but not, the same level as like a Tennessee or Georgia, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still going to take them to win by 3.5, over 3.5 here. I know it's on the road, but, I think that Ole Miss is got enough in the tank to finish strong.
Well, interestingly enough, we just saw this game.
I know,
Against
LSU.
3.5, and Arkansas covered. So I'm picked them last week. I'm going to stick with my Hogs this week. Ole Miss, one of 2 things could happen to them this week. 2 scenarios go down. One, they're not really playing for to go to Atlanta anymore, so they could be downcast about that. And watch out for the news that Lane Kiffin might be the next Auburn head coach. That would certainly put a damper on things. And Arkansas, I believe KJ Jefferson is coming back this week. They struggled. They had QB problems. They benched Malik Hornsby in this game.
Oh, my gosh. Forgot about that.
So if Jefferson is healthy, I like the Hogs in this one. Pay attention to that before you pick it. But it's a night game in a tough Arkansas environment that I think they keep it close enough. Could even pull out the win. So I'm going to take the Hogs.
I don't think so. I don't know, man.
Worked for me last week.
I think LSU's just gotten lucky recently.
Would you say Ole Miss is better than LSU?
I think that if they played each other again without the baggage of like just losing to Alabama and stuff, it would be very close.
I don't know, man.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Talk about a good game. This is probably one of the best games of the week.
Yeah.
Number 7 USC going to play UCLA. Number 16. Our line here is USC favored by 1.5.
Yeah.
I think that's changed a bit.
It's up to 2.5, and 2 in favor of USC. You can get 2.5 for UCLA on some sports books. But.
So I think that this game is almost even. Here's what I'm thinking here. USC's starting running back got hurt.
He did.
He's out after their last game. And I think that these two teams have very comparable offenses.
Yeah.
UCLA did have that just disappointing loss to Arizona, but if you look at the stats and everything, UCLA didn't really play bad. Arizona just played better.
They played out of their minds, and UCLA spotted them 14 points to start the game.
So it's disappointing, and at face value, you might want to just go with USC because they beat Arizona, but Arizona played USC close as well.
Yeah.
So here's what comes down to for me. Without that running back, and UCLA has a marginally better defense, I think that they have a pretty good pass rush, and I think they have enough to limit Williams a bit through the air by just pressuring him. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take UCLA here. I think they can win this game, and I think it's going to be probably the best matchup of the week.
Yeah, well, this is going to be a really disappointing episode because I'm also taking UCLA.
Oh my gosh!
when you give it a spread of 1.5, you're basically picking the outright winner.
Yeah.
Of this. And I think that UCLA is up to the task. As much as I would love to see USC in the playoff, I don't think that that's a scenario we're going to get this season. And if it's not going to be this week, it might be Notre Dame next week. It might be the conference championship. But I think they go down in this one kind of unexpectedly for a lot of people. I'm going to ride with the Bruins in this one.
Alrighty.
So we'll move on to a worse spread. Colorado at Washington. Washington favored by 31.5. Man, we get a Colorado spread of 30.5 or 31.5 every week. And it's just so disappointing for me to look at every week. I don't have a whole lot to say about this one. Washington, great performance against Oregon last week.
Yeah.
31.5. I don't know why I did this. I didn't look into this game that much. I don't have that much reasoning behind it, but I'm going to go with Colorado for some reason, just out of the blue. I don't know, but making things interesting.
Okay, I'm going to take Washington here. We've seen teams cover this. USC covered it against them. It was a little closer than we would have liked, but
yeah.
If anything, Washington has shown us they can score.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Penix is the leading quarterback in terms of yards in the country, and I know that was a very emotional win for them against Oregon, but I don't think that they're going to let off the gas here against a Colorado team that is just abysmal, and they're playing at home.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the Huskies here.
It's not my favorite decision ever, but 32 is a weird line for me, so I'm going to stick with them.
Up next, we have UAB going to play number 6 LSU. LSU's favored by 14.5 here. I talk about a game I haven't really looked into a ton. I'm going to take the Tigers here. I think that they're going to use this game as sort of a tune-up, lock in before going to Atlanta to play Georgia. Excuse me. But I'm going to take the Tigers here to win convincingly against UAB. Funny enough, one of the models I was looking at, OddsShark has LSU losing this game.
Really?
Yeah. If you want to talk, I'll pull it up.
Well, yeah, just for the sake of disagreement, I'm going to go with UAB in this one. I had LSU picked, but looking at a spread of 14.5 playing at home and you're the number 6 team in the country, why? I don't understand it. This is a line that Vegas is confusing me on. So I'll take UAB. Maybe it's a 14-point game and I luck out and scrape by with a point in that one, but I don't understand it, man.
Yeah, I hear right here. I'll let if you want to look at this. No, it's not pulling up now. Whatever. Yeah, it has UAB as a favorite here.
Maybe they think LSU's just looking ahead, but they got Texas A&M next week and Georgia after that. But
I don't know, man. It's weird. I'm gonna stick with LSU here.
UAB's not a bad football program either.
No.
I respect them a lot. So they're the Dragons, are they not? What's their Blazers?
The Blazers.
But their
They got
mascot
the-
looks like a dragon.
Yeah.
Utah is our final game and a marquee matchup as well. Utah going in to take on Oregon. Oregon is favored by 3.5 in this one. And Oregon, man, coming off that loss to Washington, they are a little beat up. And something about that, they could be without Bo Nix this
Yeah.
weekend. So that completely shifts my dynamic in this game. I'm going to go with the Utes. I think that they have Cameron Rising is getting hot at the right time. Utah's still in contention for the Pac-12.
Yep.
And man, look at this game last year. 2 of them we got, and Utah won by 30 or at least 3 scores, like both times. I think a shaky Oregon team that's a little bit beat up from last week falls in this one. I'm going to take Utah to cover 3.5, or to win, to cover.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
Furthering the trend of this being a non-controversial episode.
Oh, come on.
I am also taking the Utes because I think even if Bo Nix plays, he's beat up, and they're also missing a bunch of offensive line pieces.
Yeah.
Oregon took a beating, and they really they went all in there at the end to try and win that game, and I think that they're going to pay for it here. I don't like picking Utah here to have Oregon lose back-to-back games at home, but I think the value is there. I think Utah's playing good football now, and yeah, their season's not over.
No.
So if you're going to give me 3.5 points, starting me off with basically a field goal and a half a point, I can't deny that. I think that these teams are pretty comparable, and I'm going to take the Utes here as well.
All right. There you have it, our picks for this week. We're happy to be back. I'm happy to beat Mike again another week. Let the best ginger win, but I think that I got a good shot any week. You got a good shot, especially picking against the spread. We hope you guys enjoyed this show. Please like and subscribe to the video. Other than that, have a happy holidays as they start coming up, and not sure if we'll be able to get a video out next week because of that, but we'll keep you posted. Stay tuned on Twitter for our announcements.
Yeah.
But other than that, thanks for watching.